Thank you, Puckett. We will see indeed, and we are going to be heading to Sina Connemara, Bren. You know how happy that makes me. We've been over this plenty of times today in the broadcast, but for 1-2-3, the comeback must begin now because they're down two maps already. Time flies quickly with that Nambani, but now is a case where they have to have their last stand or Misfits will be running away with this series.
I mean, this is their map pick, right, isn't it? This is their time to shine, but then again, Nambani was also their map pick, and they got absolutely demolished on it, dismantled by the Misfits offensive. The question is, can they redo this now? Can they reset off the back of this? They've had a bit of a break, had a bit of a breather. They can learn and sort of figure out what exactly went wrong to really sort of break down and get going here on Hanamura today.
So we talked a lot about all the things Misfits was doing well, and frankly, they were playing on all cylinders. It's very difficult to find a spot that they were weak in. But this does bring up to 1-2-3. What was the biggest thorn in their side? Logics. In the end, they need to do things that contain Logics a little bit more, because even if you go back to their defense on Nambani, the defense part that they had that did well is when they were able to take down Logics early in the fight. That delayed Misfits. They very much rely on Logics to be that threat in the back. So when Misfits' game plan is coming at you so straightforward, you have to do something to disrupt it, and that might just be holding back a bit and trying to punish Logics.
So, interesting composition here by Misfits here, ZP, because we see Zebasai is not going to be running the Lucio. Instead, they're going to be running with a Zen and an Ana. The reason this is unusual, normally you just see Lucios in his comps, but normally the only times you see both these supports being used is when there's a Soldier 76. Misfits are not running that, so they're not going to have to, they don't have the biotic field of the Soldier 76 to rely on that teams normally do. Instead, they've got Logix and Tavik running the Tracer and Genji respectively.
And from here, you would have to expect Tavik to be coming in more from the front, even as a Genji, letting Logix work his way to the back. 1-2-3, meanwhile, they're running a very standard dive, where you have Finzi in the back, who will be under pressure, and look at that, Snillo taken down immediately. Misfits isn't going to let them get the high ground for free. They are getting right in there.
Oh, still, Snillo falling is not the worst case scenario, because now 1-2-3, they can take the high ground positioning. They don't have to worry about Snillo actually getting back into the fight. You know, at the end of the day, you're playing Tracer. You can just zip your way back into the front lines. Now, as they slowly take the positioning here, ZP, they're going to look to try and get a bit of a foothold, which they have gained for the time being. They're now looking for that initial pickoff, and it can be hard to do when you're up against this very sort of heavy sustained lineup that Misfits are running.
It can be. What I like about Misfits here, though, is that even though they didn't get a kill after Snillo, they're applying a lot of pressure here. They're not giving 1-2-3 any time to breathe, and the one time Tonic steps out of line, he's punished. Now Misfits, they know they have a big advantage in control, and they're going to dive in, and this is working out really well for them here as 1-2-3 is slowly picked apart.
Yeah, slowly picked apart indeed, because they're just not finding any opportunities. Snillo trying to go for these supports into the back lines, but ultimately will get brought down again. And Logix, again, the cherry on top, lays down the pulse bombs into the high ground and will finally just de-root 1-2-3 from that pesky high ground position. Question is now, ZP, what is the approach for 1-2-3 when Misfits are sitting on such a massive ultimate bank here?
I mean, 1-2-3, I think they're still going to have to engage in similar ways. Maybe you fake out that you're going to the right and then either go to the left or dive straight. Do something to throw them off guard. But Misfits, they do have a huge edge here, and realistically speaking, it's their fight to lose as Logix ambush position already. Pressure on the Snillo and the dive from Misfits again. Not letting 1-2-3 breathe easily as they move up to the high ground. But, Bren, they have gotten to the high ground.
They have indeed, and they've suffered it with no casualties for the time being. In fact, it's going to be Logix and Snillo going to be trying to take the 1v1 against each other, but it's going to be the economy play here by Misfits. Meanwhile, in the back lines, they use the nano boost onto Swoosh, and he picks up 2 kills because there's no peel available from the side of 1-2-3. And look at that, off the back of it, he gets the boop off as well onto Happy Cool. Another one fight, and they only used a single nano boost. Crazy efficiency coming out by Misfits.
What I really want to take a moment and appreciate here is that we've seen a lot of teams run this dive defense, Bren, over time. But Misfits, they're one team that's playing it properly, where they're taking very quick engagements every time. They're not letting 1-2-3 get in for free, and that's what you do when you're not running a soldier. 1-2-3, they're moving in, but Tavik, he's here in the back, he's ready, the blade is at his command.
Not going to be trying to use it just yet, just wants to survive for the time being. Meanwhile, Logix finds the 1v1 kill there onto Snillo, and the Sambar are now used by 1-2-3 as they try and lead this in with a win. The kills are finally starting to go into the way of it, as Manatim does actually fall in the process of it. Finzi as well onto the high ground will bring down Logix, still potentially winnable. Tavik somehow survives as a raging monkey into the back lines as Tonic is searching for the kills. Does claim 1 as the timer ticks down here, ZP. Is this still retrievable? Is this still defendable for Misfits?
It's looking less likely by the moment here. Tvik, even though he's had the blade the entire time, never had a great moment to use it. 1-2-3's leap in caught him a bit off guard. And what you saw there is that instead of being able to blade with his team and instead of Misfits being able to take advantage of the ults that they had, he was out of the fight for a while. 1-2-3 grabbed the opportunity and they simply went forward with it. Now, we'll see if they can find some room here as they move into point B.
And they bought a hell of a lot of time off the back of it, and again, more time being bought as Happy Cool is de-suited, de-mech'd. He's got to make the decision, do I reset off the edge of the point, which he does. Again, more and more time just being bought here for Misfits, because that's what they want at the end of the day. They want these initial picks off onto the D.Va. If they get a D-mech, fantastic. If they pick off Snillo, fantastic, because it just buys them these seconds that are precious to them.
One thing, let's just loop things back here. We talked about the need to nullify Logix. It didn't really happen as much on first. They did it by pressuring out Tvik. But keep an eye on Logix this entire time, who's going to be pressuring 1-2-3 as they come up here through the top. Misfits, challenging positioning at every moment, but while they do this, Logix is flanking from the other side. So 1-2-3, even as they get to the high ground here, they don't get for free, but Logix is down. That's a big win condition as they move in.
Yeah, this is very big indeed. They've taken the high ground position, and now they want to move into the back lines. They want to try and bring down these support. You can see the focus fire onto them will force out this Transcendence now. Zebasai trying to keep his team alive, and Tvik answers back. The Dragon Blade is released. Fincy and Bokfaller, triple kill for Tvik into the back, and he's found the casualties, he's found the picks, and another defense coming out by Misfits.
Misfits able to hold on and keep stability here. 3 minutes and 19 seconds left remaining. And 1-2-3, this is where it's a tough mountain to climb, where they have to find a way into point B here, where they don't have a lot of resources and they might only get one more fully loaded attempt. But man, Tvik, imagine if you could have pulled that out back in point A.
I know, it's absolutely ridiculous stuff. Misfits really showing that they are using that ultimates very well, but this creates an opening for 1-2-3 because Misfits have committed a lot to try and hold them off for the time being. In fact, they've only got the pulse bomb and the self-destruct, I should say, to utilize. The pulse bomb, though, by Logix, it's perfect. It finds Fincy and brings Tonic low enough for Zebasai to finish him off.
Utterly pincered there is how you describe that, where once they entered that corridor, Logix comes in from the opposite side, you have the tanks coming in from the front, there was death on all ends there for 1-2-3, and they just get wrecked. However, you take a look at the next fight, they're in a better position when it comes to ultimates. They actually have a bit of a window here, depending on how they play this barrier. And Bren, they're going to go straight up the gut here again. There's no chill in this 1-2-3 offense.
This is sort of the old way that teams used to play Assault. They used to try and rotate the ults until they get 6 online, 5 online, which you see 1-2-3 has. They've got a big advantage, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them just commit everything now to try and take this point off. Post bomb connects. Snillo finds a crucial kill onto Zupe, taking him out of the equation. A follow-up onto Tvik. This is a huge opening for them now, ZP.
And Logix had used his rewind pretty early there. Back into the fight, has to use it here again. Not able to apply the pressure he wants. Meanwhile, from 1-2-3, they double down with the sound barrier. They feel this is their window, and Bren, frankly, it is. They're not going to get a better opportunity than this. Here comes Tvik. The blade is too late. He's gunned down by Finzy in the back. And now 1-2-3 in a prime position to choke this one out.
This is textbook by 1-2-3. The rotation of ultimates, they were playing the long con. I mean, they can see now the Primal Rage is used to try and stall this one out, but Swoosh is deleted immediately off the map. And now we see rotation. Now we see the switch off. The stall is attempted here. Logic's in the back of the pulse bomb, won't find the target. But look at this, the May. Tvik switches over, is going to fall in the end. He should at least. He's got the Ice Wall to protect him for the time being. And now the Transcendence will definitely keep them healed up. But still, 1-2-3 have not dropped a single player just yet.
One cool thing there, it kept Manitin alive enough to bunny blaster his way back into the mech. So that Transcendence actually helping in their tank control there beyond just the normal healing, where Manitin and Swoosh being the bouncers of the point, giving some hope here to pull this back. And even though 1-2-3 is keeping on the pressure, that bought Misfits a lot of time. And that's time that Logix can use to get pickoffs, though he hasn't gotten another one here just yet.
One big thing to point out is Tvik on this May. He's already got 2 lives in on the May to stall this one out. But 1-2-3, they're not giving up just yet. Tonic with the double kill with his leap in into the fray. It's going down to the final moments, the final few seconds, as 1-2-3 are desperately trying to stall this one out. The pulse bomb is beautiful by Snillo. He picks up both the players, the D-Mech as well, on top of this one, all the way trying to find these kills. Tvik does not manage to find the point. Still, it's continuing to be contested.
Emergency Widowmaker on the field right now. Zebasai coming out with the Widow when they are in their darkest hour, and this has to be the deal with Finzy, who's been in the back. Are they going to pull this back? It was so close, but Zebo on the Widow is containing Finzy a bit here. But the tac visor does kill him, but he had to trade it out for that. It's 1-2-3. They might not get this, Bren.
This is absolutely mental by them. Misfits are holding on. The overtime ticks over to Vic now, flexing over to the Doomfist. He wants to show a bit of his muscles, particularly his right arm in this exchange. And now we see finally 1-2-3 going to be using the self-destruct. Logic's gone out of the equation. The overtime still finally ticking over to Vic, desperately searching for the kills here into the back line. Still, it's so close here, ZP.
It is incredibly close, but Misfits now on the winning edge. The emergency Doomfist, as it were, combining with the emergency Widow, and Misfits off of just crazy delayed stalling, excellent tank play, were able to have a masterclass in delay there. 1-2-3, you just got robbed.
They really did. I mean, right now, I think the winning condition there for Misfits in that fight was the fact that 1-2-3 didn't prioritize the targets on that final point correctly. Misfits played it incredibly well, because every time you noticed Tavik was coming into the fray, immediately a player would peel off to the left or peel off to the right and force players away, giving Tavik enough time to really just get onto the point and play it well. And his ability rotations, that's the important thing here, not the ult rotations, but the ability rotations of Tavik, utilizing the Mei Ice Wall, using the Ice Blocks to just really stall that one out, allowing Misfits to keep it locked in at 92.1%.
And the reason why I say 1-2-3 got robbed is that against 99% of teams in Overwatch in the vast majority of situations, that is a capture on the second. 1-2-3 wasn't necessarily playing badly there.
No.
Misfits was playing very well in how they delayed that out across the board. So it was phenomenal play that turned a situation that, for the most part, would have been a relatively clean cap for 1-2-3. And Bren, as we swap rounds, let's just put 1-2-3 in a bind.
Yeah. Now they have to potentially, they have to go for this full hold on this first point, realistically, or even a second point, so to speak, you know, to get a good chance of trying to come back in this series. Because remember, Misfits are so damn close to picking up this series win. This map in particular, Hanamura, matters so much in the grand scheme of things here between these two teams, because 1-2-3, bearing in mind, they do not have a secure place in the playoffs just yet. If they get a map, it helps them. If they get a series, it's fantastic. But at the end of the day, they're going to be searching and crawling for absolutely anything against Misfits here in this matchup.
Well, the other thing, too, is don't forget how we set this up. This is potentially a grand finals matchup, depending on how things go. And you want to give yourself some belief that you can beat this team, that you can have something to hang your hat on. But Misfits, they've been on fire today, and they're not waiting a lot of time here, Bren. They are diving right in, and they are aggressively chasing Half Equal back to his team. And though you have a little bit of nap time, Misfits is finding their way through.
Straight down the middle, Tavik finds the kill onto Tonic. No messing around with the high ground just yet. In fact, Tavik with a Swift Strike will connect onto multiple targets. The Shuriken gets sent out, finds the kill there onto Fincy, setting his team up for victory here. They've already picked up a few of these players. That's realistically all you need to get the ball rolling. As you can see, the snowball is starting to accrue. It's starting to build DP. And this is the danger zone right now, because when you get this much momentum, this much power behind you, you need to be scared for 1-2-3.
Well, 1-2-3, they are absolutely hearing Kenny Loggins in the background right now, because you take a look at Tavik, 89%. That wasn't just a quick take. That was high contribution from Tavik, reflected in his charge. This could be an absolute dagger in the heart from Misfits, delivered by Tavik. This is a window. Let's see what Misfits does.
It's got to be well executed from Misfits. Don't make any mistake about it. 1-2-3. Got a lot to work with still. I mean, right now, Misfits are looking like they want to take it from the left-hand side. Snillo is going to call that out. Very important to note, but still, they move into the backlines. Post bomb thrown out. Will not find the kill they're looking for on 1-2-3, but they still have ults to use.
Misfits might have gotten too cutesy. They came in from different angles. They didn't brute force it outright. The blade finally comes out, but it's very greedy. Goes for the backline and will zone out 1-2-3 a bit, as now Misfits is going to use the barrier. 4 on the point, soon to be 5, and they're keeping 1-2-3 back, but 1-2-3 has tools to bring this back in here, Bren, and they haven't given up a tick yet as Tonic slams Tavik in the corner.
I'm not sure if Tonic even had his ult there. That was critical. If Tavik hit his shurikens, could have been a different story, but it is going to mean that 1-2-3 manage to get a defense here against Misfits. Still, 6 minutes remaining. Silver lining for them is they didn't let Misfits get a tick, so still, it's going to be reasonably good for them to try and defend this one. It's not the worst case scenario, so to speak. but Zupe has the Transcendence, and that's realistically now Misfits going to be looking for opportunities to use this to rotate the ults around and get on top when it comes to this ult economy game.
It's just unfortunate for Misfits because that was such a golden opportunity, and I think they played around it too much. I think they should have gone straight up the gut. In any case, though, now it's more even. They're going to take the high ground here immediately. Tvik has swapped on the 76. He's not interested in diving. He's interested in control. And with Snell out of the fight immediately, this is very good for Misfits. Now they can set up shop. They can start paying rent up here, Bren, as they really apply the pressure of the 1-2-3.
Boostio! Denia somehow grasped the nano boost away from them. I don't know if that was intentional or not to try and stall out one ult. Most likely not. You don't really see that too often these days, but still, that might have just cost 1-2-3 because Logic's, he's tearing through them like butter. Absolute madness kicking off here in the arena of Hanamura. The final checkpoint, the kills are flowing in. Logic's with the beatdown ZP into the final moments. Can anyone stop this man?
I don't know, but I gotta say, Bren, it is hunger indeed when you tear through butter. Normally you slice through it, but tearing through it, that is when you want
ravenous.
It's when you want it in your diet, man. As Misfits, the pressure is unrelenting right now. Tvik still in the back. Oh, that's how you
big.
alleviate some pressure. They got rid of not one, but both tanks, and Tvik, even though he had attack visor, he wisely realizes it's time to leave.
That's huge by Hafiko picking up those 2 kills there. I'm not sure if it was a misplay by... What? There's no way they can capitalize off this. I mean, he's just going to take a quick nap and get back up.
Snell's on the way. Snell's like, I got you. He did get him.
He got him.
All right.
Okay,
Fair.
they buy a bit of time. That's pretty good. But again, like I need to mention that previous fight because Happy Cool, that self-destruct, we talk about the tanks a lot. We've been bigging up Maniton this entire game, but that's something that you'd expect from Maniton on the side of Misfits. Coming up where it counts, the D.Va self-destruct, picking up both the main tanks on the side of Misfits there means no more front line, no more push attempt.
And the other key thing to note here, too, for Misfits is that they only walk away with 1 tick there. That could have been way better for them, way worse for 1-2-3. Now for 1-2-3, you take a look at Misfits. They're coming up, Pulse Bomb in, does not get what Snillow's looking for. Misfits able to heal up, and again, they have very good high ground positioning.
Wow.
Tvik takes ball advantage.
Okay, they get that initial pick off, and that's big. A second one follows up as Tonic gets a little bit too aggressive. The Samara used pretty early on by Zebasai tries to keep his team alive. And Tvik again with the D-Mech is going to be doing some decent damage there onto the high ground. And realistically now, 1-2-3, they've got nothing to really start to deal with this. The Pulse Bomb sent out, Denia falls once again.
And this is cleanup here from Misfits. 1-2-3, can you pull a rabbit out of the hat one more time? Of course, it's rabbits who are invading your point right now, so maybe you don't. They're almost there, just a little bit more here, Bren. And they haven't really had much to hang their hat on. 1-2-3, dying by the dozens right now. And this is looking very good for Misfits indeed, as Tvik and Logix continue relentless cleanup.
It's so close. The players are falling all over the place. And there you have it. Misfits are going to be the victors here of map number 3. My goodness, what a series all in all, because even though it seems so one-sided, you got to just appreciate both sides for the plays they were making. It's just Misfits are a little bit better with the ult usage, a little bit better with the mechanical skill, just ever so slightly taking it an edge over them. And I mean, Tonic is going to be getting the primal, the play of the game, I should say here. But my God, Misfits, they're just playing so incredibly well.
Well, not only are they playing well, right, but they had a game plan that they clearly went to, that they wanted to stick to, where as soon as they got in the second, what do we see? Tvik gets off the blade and then goes to the 76, holds there on top, and they keep giving him space, and eventually he gets through.
That's the trouble. When you get into that scenario, the soldiers on the back lines, he's on the high ground, it's so difficult to fight your way out of it. And, you know, it is a miracle that Misfits managed to do it on their own defense side.
All right, guys, we're going to be taking a quick break. Of course, that is Misfits taking the series, but we still have one more map to play. It is important. We are back with Overwatch Contenders Season 1 EU. I'm ZP here with Bren. And Bren, even though Misfits might have taken the series here, 1-2-3 has two reasons to really play this last map hard. One is for tiebreakers, which of course they're very close with Giganti. And the second reason is the idea that they want to prove to themselves that they can compete with Misfits at the highest level, where even though today's been close, Misfits so far, they've been a cut above.
They really have. Across the board in this entire tournament, they have shown that they are the most dominant team here in EU. But one more plus side, I'd say, given the fact that we're seeing sort of the end of this series, so to speak, of 1-2-3 really playing this one out to the bitter end, is 1-2-3 are most likely still going to be making playoffs here. Within reason, you know, it's going to be very unlikely that they do not. So any maps they can really learn from and research and really look into, going over the VODs, you know, just peeling over it and learning from their mistakes, it's going to be critical when we reach the playoff stage of Overwatch Contenders, because that is really, realistically, you know, you see these long-term tournaments, that's when you see in the playoff stage when teams start to figure out the most dominant team, and suddenly you've got a completely different scenario where, you know, it happens all the time, but the most dominant team will just suddenly be knocked out of the tournament because they get figured out.
Bren, I can't tell if you're trying to throw shade on Misfits or not here, but that is basically what happened to them in Season 0, where they looked incredible during the group stages, and then they ended up falling in the first round. So Misfits, they're pretty familiar with the scenario.
It happens all the time. Like, you see it all the time where the most dominant team comes into the tournament, they've got set strat plays, you know, set strategies, and once they get clocked by one team, the rest of them figure it out, and suddenly they just become a massive target. So in some cases, you know, it can be quite bad to be the most dominant team in a tournament because you've got a massive target on your back that everyone's trying to beat. But now, ZP, we're rolling out with it. Composition-wise, it's looking like triple DPS for 1-2-3. Misfits running that 2-2-2 double hit scan dive composition.
And Misfits probably isn't going to get too crazy with the defensive dive here in the beginning. They're not running a Genji with it. When you're running a 76, you're looking for more control. So that's why you see them back out a bit here. If they had gotten an early pickoff, it'd be a little bit different. They would be a little bit more aggressive. But for now, they're poking when they can, but they're backing up and giving 1-2-3 plenty of room. The real fight is going to be taking place after the car wash.
Now, I'm going to give it a sense of deja vu here, and not just because Tracer's on the playing field, but we've seen this scenario before. The attacking team going in with triple DPS. When you're not running the DV, you're very susceptible to Zupe with his bio grenades multiple times. We'll see if they can actually overcome this now, because it seems like Misfits have a different play style. They save the bio grenades for when they get committed on into the back lines. As you can see, 1-2-3 are definitely trying to make it happen, but Happy Cool gets brought down, and off the back of that one entry frag, they can definitely find an opening and find the kills.
And Misfits have just been protecting the back line really well, but also the front line. Swoosh was getting low there, and Manitin, even though it wasn't needed, went over to support him and just be like, are you okay? Okay, you're okay. Now let's dive in and flush them out of our server room, which is why Misfits is coming in from all angles here. 1-2-3, under assault from every side.
And there you go. Look at that, the bio grenade coming out there from Zupe. That just goes to show you, when you're not running the D.Va, you're so susceptible to it. But this dive, overwhelming authority. You know, I was talking about the bio grenade, but does it really matter when nobody dies and you just find the kills off the back of it? I mean, that is how you're supposed to play triple DPS.
It is, and let's just be clear on what happened there. Snillo razzle-dazzled his way around, had a very high-value pulse bomb that got one kill outright and did tons of damage, and now Misfits on the verge of getting staggered. They have to circle the wagons. They need to re-solidify, but they do. The nano boost onto Tavik. They're going to roll right out, and they start re-establishing dominance here as Tavik picks up two.
What is that? The nano boost popped off onto the Vic to the tail end of his tactical visor. He got nothing. But at the end of the day, 1-2-3, the positioning was far too aggressive, and Tavik could just play clean up with the back lines. So they do get a defense here, coming into the hangar phase here of Gibraltar. But 1-2-3 have got ults for days. They've got both defensive support ults and a Happy Cool Blade. Fincy almost of his own tactical visor. Realistically, this next team fight is going to be 1-2-3s to win.
1-2-3, they have every edge going into this fight. If they don't take this fight, they have messed up badly. Misfits should not be able to do much here unless they catch 1-2-3 off guard with positioning or a quick kill. But 1-2-3, there, Fincy dies! You can't have that happen early on. He's picked off, and Misfits might be taking a fight that they really had no business winning.
I mean, right now, Misfits are being forced out. They use their own soundbar to try and keep them alive. 1-2-3 want to answer back. Bok with the Transcendence, because he realizes that Fincy will be coming into the fight soon enough. But we see the ults being used. Logix picks him off into the back lines. And losing these players, you can't afford to do that when you're committing so many ults off the back of it.
One thing that I think is really cool that Misfits did there, where they did need the extra pick power, how Finzy ended up falling there is that he was pressured both by the 76 in the back and Logix, but it was Zupe who threw in that last little bit of burst damage that took him down, and that's how Misfits was able to come back in here here and win this fight, despite 123 having so many tools at their arsenal. And Brennon gets worse here for 123 because they used the Transcendence last fight to zero effect.
Well, here you have it. I believe that was the pulse bomb thrown out. Not quite, actually. Logic does not have it just yet, but Happy using the blade, and he's slicing through the opposition. It's going to be the triple kill. He goes for the D-Mech as well. The damage is definitely done, and that is what they needed off the back of that. They committed just the one ultimate, the overwhelming damage with the help of Tonic, and Finzi as well, just collecting it in with his own little just Helix rockets. Enough burst damage to really secure it now. And if Misfits don't get onto the point, which you're seeing now, but they're losing so many players here, ZP, it's looking like a hard defense here for this second checkpoint.
So part of Misfits' strength is that they've been grouping together in almost a death ball sense at points, but Happy had the perfect angle to leap in for the blade, and now 123 they're just cleaning up. Misfits comes in the stagger, not able to do much at all. And in the end here, Bren, even though Misfits has had a few good moments here in this map, this is actually a pretty poor defense here so far. It's 4 minutes left for 123. That would be an incredibly fast time. Does it stick? Not quite.
Right, almost got it. Very, very close. Just trying to buy this time for them. But interesting facts about Happy is that across the board, if you look at his stats on paper, he's very much almost an average Genji across the board, except for his deaths. He's very patient, and you could argue, you know, maybe he's baiting his team, but he's incredibly patient with his deaths, and he finds that he does stay alive in these scenarios where other Genjis do not, and that's really where his strengths lie. But ZP, we're leading it in with ults.
And Misfits, Swoosh had to use his leap immediately there to back out, so he can't come back in for a while, and Finzi taking well advantage. Everything's in his sights. He's not a liar. He is telling the truth. Swoosh, he comes back in a little bit later at the Primal Rage, but it's too late. The damage has been done, the control wasn't there, and 123, 3 minutes left here, Bren. This is lightning fast, doesn't stick. Kaboom!
It does
Goodbye,
indeed.
kaboom. I don't know.
The mini kaboom there, but still, it's massive, ZP. You can't underestimate this because the cart is rolling forward. There's only 3 minutes on the clock, and so many ults that 123 have got to use. Happy leaps into the sky. The blade is unleashed. He wants to unsheath the beast, so to speak, and he does find the kill onto Zebo before he can do anything with the rest of his team. The Transcendence on the side of Zupe will keep them alive for the time being, but the patience is there. They're waiting desperately in the dark to try and pick off the remaining players.
123 piling on. This is how you choke out a team when you have an advantage. They are not letting them get out of the spawn doors in any way, shape, or form. The pressure from the 76 in the back, the Genji dashing in from the front, and even Logix, who's been so good at pulling these situations back.
Incredible.
Falls as 123 shell shocks Misfits here on Gibraltar.
That's such a fantastic time as well by 123. And we were saying during the break, but this match, even though it seems like it's been incredibly one-sided towards Misfits, small minor changes is the only thing that needs to be made by 123 to make it a close series. And they've just shown up massively here on Gibraltar. Yes, it was their map pick, but they got a rapid time on it, finishing it into the final, that third checkpoint in the end.
123 coming out with style where even though Misfits had points in this map where they punished 123, it looked like they were going to be holding control. If I had to pick a pivotal moment here in this map here, Bren, it would be Happy Cool's Dragon Blade, where Misfits, as good as they've been at protecting each other and playing smart Overwatch where the supports are with each other, the tanks are with each other, they were a little bit too close for comfort in the hangar phase. Happy Cool just ripped them to ribbons, and Misfits was never really able to recover.
The crazy thing about that Dragon Blade play as well is the fact that he wasn't even, you know, essentially concatenated with like a nano boost. That wasn't even added on. It was entirely just a Dragon Blade and Tonic backing him up with the Tesla cannon. That was all the damage they needed. And Misfits, they may have just misplayed a little bit. You know, the grouping up, as you mentioned, just made them so susceptible to the Dragon Blade. And that was realistically the tipping point when it came to the momentum. That was just full frontal force ahead and securing that 2.5 minutes on the board. But now we see a change in sides. So 123 going to be going with a defensive composition. Happy Cool switching to the Diva here instead of the Genji.
So the reason why you're seeing these swap-ups here is that 123 is also looking for a more protective style where they're going to be putting their faith in Finzi, much like Misfits put their faith into Vic into the back. Meanwhile, from Misfits, what do we see from Tavik? He's coming out here in the Genji. So Misfits, they're just going with a much more aggressive dive composition. 123, they're looking for disengage, control, and definitely looking to win the poke war if at all possible.
And I think that's really playing to the strengths of 123 against the composition and the playstyle that Misfits like to play. It's very tactical, very methodical. It's slow. They like to take their poke wars. If you build a composition around it and you've got the defensive advantage, definitely going to be looking at a superior team fight at least. But as the cart will start to roll through the car wash section here, the point A, I should say, of Gibraltar, you see Logix eating a ton of damage, forced to recall pretty early on.
And now, Misfits moving their way to the top. The flankers have positioning on the high ground, wrapping around as the main force comes up through the front. And this is what Logix does in general, right? He's always coming in from the flank. He's splitting your attention. And while that's going on, no one's protecting Bach. He's already out of the fight. And 1-2-3, they're just simply outmaneuvered here.
Yes, the server room completely pounded there. As you can see, the damage is just being laid into them time and time again. Logix cleaning up in the end. Tavik will get the DMEC most certainly onto Happy Cool. So do stagger out to a degree, but this will most likely mean it's going to be that first checkpoint, point A. We're going to the side of Misfits here in a very rapid fashion. They are going to get a last-minute defense, but the way these spawners are going, I gotta say, the advantage is 100% in Misfits' side.
That wasn't worthwhile for 1-2-3. 1-2-3 was coming out here with the idea is like, all right, we're going to delay, maybe take 30 seconds to mend it off. No, you don't even get 10 seconds there. That's how badly you got wrecked trying to come back onto that point. So this is difficult now for 1-2-3 as Misfits is gaining a resource advantage, gaining a positioning advantage, and just Tonic getting crushed from long range.
I mean, you can't afford to lose your main tank in those positions because right now there's 5 minutes on the clock for Misfits. They're slamming this cart forward at a blistering pace that's matching 1-2-3, and here we have it. They're going to try and answer back as we see Tavik. He used the Dragon Blade in the back. He doesn't find the kills he's looking for. In fact, the Primal Rage of Swoosh is just going to knock the targets further away from him, but it doesn't matter. They find the kills off the back of it regardless, and this cart will continue to move.
Misfits keeping the pressure moving forward here. 1-2-3 struggling to get anything done. It started with the fancy footwork of Misfits on point A, where they outmaneuvered with a nice pincer from Logix and Tavik. And so far from 1-2-3, they have not been able to get their footing. However, Bren, as we move into the next point, this is where it's going to be a little bit more even between the teams. And we talk about the tank play. This is where Tonic, with a Primal Rage and Stow, support ults behind him, can really make his move. And he does already.
There you go. The entry pick is what they needed there. Swoosh falling, but it answers back. Tonic ends up going down. And we're going to see the support ults use Misfits with the sound barrier, trying to really prolong this fight out. Post-spawn by Logix will not find the damage he's looking for, won't find the kills either. But they are going to be forcing out every single ult that they've got at their disposal. Hafiko now with the self-destruct, finding a brilliant kill onto Zupe, and with the Helix Rocket of Fincy, both the supports out the equation for Misfits, meaning they do manage to get a defense here just before this point B checkpoint.
Bren, did you hear that? The sound of exhaling coming from the 1-2-3 team?
Sigh of relief.
They can breathe a little bit easier here. This is where they get to reset up. They don't have to worry about Misfits staggering them as much. Meanwhile, for Misfits, they're not really working with much here. They're very drained. They used both support ults in the last fight. Didn't end up taking it, so they weren't able to pull it back, and 1-2-3, they've actually put themselves in a much better position here. Especially
with Tonic, with this Primal Rage, he can stall for quite some time now as well. But look at this, the backlines have healed on, the boop is there, they've forced Swoosh back out of it, and they've got the heals as well. This is perfect positioning by 1-2-3 right now, but they don't get onto the cart!
No.
Again, how does this happen? I mean, this is only the first time we've seen it this game, but it's a very uncharacteristic mistake from the side of 1-2-3 to make that sort of mistake, because they've been playing so fundamentally well. That's just confusing to me.
Bren, it was too good to think that we would go through an entire day without praising the number 9, but look, credit where credit is due. Swoosh had a really nice engage there, was well backed up, and pushed 1-2-3 into a corner. So I will give Swoosh credit there for getting 1-2-3 off their game. But now, 4 minutes left. Misfits could set an equally fast time.
Wow.
Zupe, though, out of nowhere, just picked off.
He's deleted off the map, and Tavik, he has to answer back with a Dragon Blade, but he gets nothing with it. Now the Soundbar used. Misfits are really trying to win this fight out, but they're ultimately not getting much at all. Tonic has bought so much time with his own Primal Rage, forcing them off the cart, but now it's Logix's time to shine. The self-destruct sent down, but it gets caught perfectly in the bubble, meaning it won't connect onto anyone. In fact, Happy Cool as well will get demexed by Logix and brought down eventually. It's looking pretty good for Misfits for the time being.
It's looking very good for them, in fact, as they continue the pile on, kill after kill in their way. Logix, an unstoppable killing machine right now, into the back, even gets Finzy with the last little bit there, supported by his Winston. And 1-2-3, they're going to have to really run in with Bach here. But Bach, he's not up in time. They have to use the sound barrier first and hope Bach gets there in time with his Transcendence.
When they get onto the point, the sound barrier does connect onto a few targets. And the only advantage realistically here is the defensive support ults. You see the Transcendence being used by Bach, as you mentioned, to try and stall this one out, keep the cart in its place. Post one by Logix does not find the target he's looking for. Again, Tavik with the Dragon Blade. Now it's his time to strike. The deflect is used first, but he slices through the opposition and will collect the kill onto Denia, but Fincy brings him down.
Rocket sandwich, it's for lunch. Tavik didn't didn't really like it too much. It's so close, 1.27 meters. Misfits, they smell blood in the water. Logic's dancing around, the dance of death, moving in and out. 1, 2, 3, though, isn't going to be enough to delay. Denia back to the point. It's close. It's a struggle.
Is it realistically going to be enough? There's only 2 players on the cart. Bok trying to provide this support fire from the back lines. Havical now respawning, coming back into the fight, trying to stall this one out from them. If they can bring down Logix, it might just be doable, but Maniton is on a mad one. He's already picked up 2 kills. The post bomb will get the DMEC in the end. It's absolutely so damn close between these 2 teams.
Snillo right now is the equalizer. He comes back out, gets rid of Maniton, dancing now with Logix. Both Tracers getting into it. And 1, 2, 3, the respawn
Beautiful
advantage
defense
of the defenders lets them hold it out with 0.64 remaining.
Crazy.
Misfits now down to their final 2 minutes after what was one of the closest attacks we have seen.
That was unbelievably close. If the respawns were in a completely different order, if Havical didn't come out into his mech just at the right time, then could have been a completely different story. Even if Snillo just got picked off at the wrong time, it could have been different. But it's not over just yet.
Oh no!
Logix, he recalls! Oh my goodness, that's what you get for doing the fancy plays, my lad. Trying to zip and zap all over the map, over the cliffs, doesn't work out in your favor when you recall over them. But now, still 1, 2, 3, stalling it out. The tactical visor being used to the degree by Fincy to really stall this one out to the best they can. Maniton will fall, but the Self-Destruct evening it out once again.
1, 2, 3, gritting this one out. They've suffered losses, but they get right back up. Misfits, at some point, they need to reset here, Bren, because 1, 2, 3. Wait, do they
Not
actually?
quite.
They come back in. Logic says, nuts to that. I'm back in this point. Let's go. Let's go, says Misfits. Logic's 3 kills to Vic with the cleanup, and they will finish it out at the very end.
Exactly a minute on the clock. That's what Misfits got there.
Whew.
A time on the board. They did manage to secure it, but make no mistake, it was 1, 2, 3 with the superior time, the superior distance, and at the end of the day now, Misfits are going to be starting asking themselves a few questions. How are they going to defend this now when they've only got a minute on the clock? Because it's going to be very difficult.
I think for Misfits, you stay to the tried and true where you have a strong defense. Well, first of all, they're going into the attack. Yeah, they're going attack first here. So, I mean, the key for Gibraltar, and you think about overtime pushes, we have seen teams run the distance before. It's rare, but the way it happens is that you start out with a strong fight in the beginning, and you just chain your ultimate economy together almost perfectly and keep the other team on the back foot the entire time. We've seen epic overtime moments, so even though 1, 2, 3 has a minute 24 advantage, it might not matter if Misfits takes this first fight.
It's all going to depend on how this first team fight goes for Misfits. Because realistically, if they win the first team fight, they're going to have a much better chance at trying to secure this one out. You can see Snillo, he's going out to the spawn potentially to make some changes. But who knows, he might just stay onto the Tracer role. But as it stands right now, 1, 2, 3, not trying anything fancy. It looks like the positioning-wise, they're just playing quite defensive, not really trying to forward aggressive hold like most teams try on Gibraltar, playing it passive, waiting patiently, just trying to play against Misfits' playstyle.
What I would like to see from 1, 2, 3 here is set some form of trap. You know how Misfits plays this. They went with their main front line through up the gut, and then you had Logix and Tavik going up the upper left. Be ready for that flanker assault that Misfits did, because I don't think Misfits really has any reason to change their attack plan. It worked out really well the first time. Why wouldn't it work the second? And here we go, they're going up the upper left, but they brought a diva with them this time, Brent.
Yeah, changing things up definitely for this one. As we see, they're going to be trying to utilize the defense matrix to its fullest. But again, 1, 2, 3's positioning is in the server room. Are we going to see a repeat of last time where Misfits just slams it home? Find out now. Snillo is in the back lines, eats a lot of damage, forced to recall back. He's in trouble. He's going to get ran down here by the side of Logix. They can't quite find him. Snillo is just running around circles. Will eventually get brought down, but he did pull 2 members of the team back. As now we see 1, 2, 3 taking a team fight. Denia getting that kill into Swoosh.
The thing there, that was really nice comms there, potentially from Tavik, because he called Logix for the help. That got them the kill under Snillo, and Tavik is just dicing 1, 2, 3 apart. He's a surgeon right now. Back and forth, got the kills he needed. Doesn't even get that much in the way of ult charge, but the damage has been done. As 1, 2, 3, we might be in overtime, Bren, but it doesn't look like they're stopping this anytime soon.
Absolutely not. With that pulse from Slam down, the overtime is currently ticking. But again, Zebasai is going to be on cart duty. Make no mistakes, this is no Immortals here. You're not going to see the players flinging off themselves off the cart just yet. You're going to see them starting to put in the damage. And getting these entry kills onto Bok like that is brilliant. It's crucial for them to really get a good run here.
Now, for people wondering how close this map is right now, every second of overtime, imagine it just adding a second on the Misfits clock right now. So they are making up whatever time deficit they were under And who knows where this ride stops, Bren. It could go all the way to the end.
We've seen it.
They have the barrier for the next fight. There is a small window here where Misfits could just crush 1-2-3 with a well-timed engagement. But 1-2-3, they take the initiative first.
And they're going to be moving in. And look at that. That's great initiative. Zupe falling. No more Zenyatta for this coming fight. Misfits forced to really use these ultimates to their advantage, but Fincy is there. Now the Dragonblade by Tavik will claim 1 kill, but ultimately brought down by the tactical visor of Fincy. He's finding the kills off the back of this one. Brilliant self-destruct by Zebasai. Will bring down Zebasai, I should say. The overtime is looking dangerous now as it's so close to being ticked over. Manatin will try and stall it out. He's zipping and zooping all over the point there in his little mech, but is it too little too late? ZP will soon find out.
Overtime ticking down. It ticks down quicker the longer it lasts, and in the end, Misfits not able to capitalize quite on their momentum into second, and they've now set up a rather winnable scenario here for 1-2-3. I would actually say that you think about how long it takes teams to get to that point, it's almost dead even between these two teams.
Oh yeah.
As we go into 1-2-3's attack.
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely say so. I mean, 2.5 minutes, you could potentially push it up to that distance, but you know, 1-2-3, they're going to be pushing this in the overtime most likely as well, if I was to theorize anything. It does give them a bit of breathing room because it means that they can afford to lose that initial team fight. Ideally, they don't want to do that. And again, it is going to be a fight that's sort of decided. It's going to be a map, I should say, that's going to be decided here by this initial team fight by 1-2-3. How they approach it is going to be critical. And if they get an entry pick off, this could be big. That's realistically their win condition coming into this.
It is, and you take a look how Misfits is playing their defense. They're playing with their standard tried and true, where they're just going to be holding back, giving Tavik room, and always Logic's working his way from the back. So for 1-2-3, again, we talked about this throughout the entirety of this match, and it rings the same here as we go into extra rounds. They have to decide. Do you deep dive onto Tavik? Do you deal with Logic's? And for 1-2-3, they've been more successful when they've killed Logic's early on. And that's what happened on their first attack here in Gibraltar, if you remember.
Yeah, absolutely. But Misfits, the important thing to note here is how aggressive they're going to be holding this. You can see both the tanks playing by the floor to try and contest this cart up early on. And that's the game plan for Misfits. Buy as much time as possible by throwing bodies at this cart now. Question is how 1-2-3 going to be dealing with this. They are running the triple DPS again, and overwhelming damage can sometimes make this completely backfire. As you can see already, Swoosh forced to leap out of the engagement and falling so weak. They have to go back for the heals.
1-2-3 would have loved to have gotten a D-Mech there, but Misfits a little bit too good at disengaging here. But they're low. Tavik, he's out of it. Snillo
good pick.
Gets his prey. And now, even though Logic's equalizes a bit, this is more in 1-2-3's favor as Snillo will not be denied in the back. He's definitely just decimated Misfits.
And as soon as you lose that initial player, you see Misfits, the game plan change from defending the back line to just dumping as many bodies as possible onto the cart, buying as much time as possible. You can see Manatin there trying his hardest to stall this one out, but he will get domed in the end by Happy Cool here. And now we see the cart will move forward. 1:30 on the clock here, ZP, and almost online, we see the Dragon Blade and a tactical visor for 1-2-3. Could be dangerous for Misfits.
1-2-3, this is their opportunity to take another decisive fight and then potentially stagger Misfits in the second. Snillo, what he does here with this opportunity is big. Tavik, he knows where he is. He's called out to his team. By the way, there's a tracer up here, so they're aware of his early pulse bomb shenanigans. Throws it out, doesn't connect. And Hathakul in a bit of a rough spot here. Knockdown is going to come around with the Dragon Blade perhaps, but Misfits, they're rope-a-doping this. They're backing up, but it won't be enough.
Swoosh falling, Manatin D-Mech. This is looking excellent now for 1-2-3 to try and turn around. As much as Logic's might try to with his pulse bomb, he's definitely going to be finding the kills, and there's no pressure on Fincy in the slightest in the back lines. He's free to just shoot them like clay pigeons in the sky. And now we see this first checkpoint. It's going to be gained. 40 seconds remaining, and look at that golden box, CP. That's the target, that's the goal, and that's all they need to reach to gain a map away from Misfits here.
And depending on 1-2-3 plays as we get to 30 seconds, they might have 2 attempts at this. That's sort of the benefit of the time edge they had here. Perhaps one more attempt, but perhaps not. If Misfits just waits for this, they can draw it down to one final fight. And Bren, that's what's upon us here in extra rounds. 18 seconds left remaining, and Misfits, they go in.
They go straight into the back lines, and Tavik, the nano visor, I should say, so much overwhelming damage has brought down both of them with the timers ticking down. This is an incredibly dangerous situation for 1-2-3 because they've left it too late. The initiative was theirs to take, and Misfits have jumped on the opportunity, and with nobody on the cart, ladies and gentlemen, it will be Misfits claiming map number 4 in an incredibly close fashion. Anyone's game again. And what this means in the grand scheme of things, ZP, is when it comes to the playoffs, I mean, 1, 2, 3, they would have been happy with a map win there. That would have definitely helped them when it comes to that race to get that playoff spot. But now, with how close the EU brackets are, the EU side of things, it's going to be a dangerous scenario moving forward.
Of course, that play of the game, that was the Dragon Blade from Half-a-Cool that really did give 1, 2, 3 their incredibly quick time. But Bren, all good things must come to an end, and no matter how competitive 1, 2, 3 looked there, Misfits found a way through no matter what.
Yeah, the fundamentals, the foundation of the Misfits squad was just, again, much more superior than the side of 1, 2, 3. We saw it time and time again, but I stand by my point. I think, realistically, we are going to be seeing 1, 2, 3 into the playoffs. It's most likely going to happen, and getting this experience early on, getting this defeat early on by Misfits could hurt Misfits in the long run when they start to figure out, exactly how Misfits play, exactly how they work their magic around the point, and that's how you start to deconstruct what they do and start to win games against them.
Well, the final tagline might have been 4-0, but this was far closer than that might give you an idea of. So to break it down and tell you why it was so close, we're throwing it to the desk.